Okay, so, and I'll have to kind of stick around my podium machine so that while I'm being recorded, my voice is clear, right? So what this allows you to do is you can listen to my class after class also. So whenever it's there, and you can just start following me if you like, or just search for it. And to give you an idea, as I said, I've kind of kept a name which you can look for, right? So anything which says S2017, summer 2017, with your course number is how I'm going to place it. So it depends on, like, of course, you don't have to. I'm not checking who's doing it and who's not. So it's not as if there's anything to do with it, but just so that you have an option of going through the class again in case you forget something or you want to say, what did she say about it? So that's the idea, okay? So today's lesson will be only an hour. Yes, go ahead.
So in addition to what you're doing on YouTube, you're going to be uploading slideshows on the weekly learning after class?
Not slideshows. There are no slideshows. I'll be uploading the example that I do in class, the Java file, onto Blackboard. Oh. Okay, there are no PowerPoint slides or anything for my classes, right? Whatever I say in class is whatever I'm doing, because I'm not doing theory. I'm doing all practical. I'll always be doing practical examples in class. So whatever I do, the Java code, the Java files will go on Blackboard after the class. Okay, so as I said, let's try to do a little bit of review. We have an hour today, so I'll try to do something new for you. Maybe you haven't done before, and then if not today, but keep an eye now, since the other section will have the same time constraints that we had today. Keep an eye on Thursday. As I said, please check Blackboard daily, but I'm trying to tell you that I'll put your in-class assignment 1 up on Blackboard on Thursday after I finish my other section. Okay, so that way both of you see together. So you both see together and you will both get the same time to bring it back together. I'll give you 1 day for it, so don't worry about it. It won't be give it in an hour. I'll give you around a day, right? Since this is your first assignment, I'll be a little lenient. So Thursday, I finished my class at 4 on Thursday. So I'll put up the assignment after 4 p.m. on Thursday. And if you like, I can give you the weekend also, but keep in mind that this assignment has to be done individually. It's very important, and it will be marked in class. So you will submit it to let me know you've done it, but I'll mark it in class, okay? Whatever time permits. We'll see how it goes. We've just started. It's our first week. Okay, so what we are going to do today is do a little bit of review. Since the time is limited, I won't start building classes. I won't use the object-oriented nature of Java, which it is. It's an object-oriented programming language. And as I said, 99.9%, leaving the primitive data types, everything is an object in Java. Plus, functional programming has been introduced in Java 8 a couple of years back, right? So keeping that in mind, I know it will take a little time to create classes and so on. So today I'll just do Java as if I was doing a procedural program in Java. So just a straight program, right, with the special method main in it. Remember the main method? The main method is that method that is automatically executed when you run a Java program. By default, it has a particular signature. It has to have a return type, its name, its parameters, and so on. So we'll use that and we'll write a straight-on procedural program today. So I'm not using the object-oriented programming or the functional nature yet today for Java. Just a simple program. And the aim of this program is to kind of get you into Java, back into Java. Plus also, I'll give you an alternative to the scanner class today and say how you can take input from the user, and also an alternative to system out print lines where you print on the screen instead of printing just like a normal screen. I'll show you answers in dialog boxes. Okay, so that's the aim. So that then you can use this in the assignment that you are given this week. Okay, so since I'll be using NetBeans, and as I said, it's up to you what you want to use, I'll start with NetBeans. So assuming all of you have it because you've used it in your semester 1, please open up NetBeans. Save your programs in a location where you can find them afterwards. And I'll do the same because, again, so that I know what I'm talking about and so on. So I have NetBeans 8.2. This is what I had. Did it a couple of months back, so maybe it's old, but I don't think so, right? So we'll kind of, I'll close all my existing programs. Okay, so most of you know how to do it, but if you don't, please go to File, create a new Java project, right? So notice we have different options. You can create a Java FX project, you can create Java Web, Java EE, and so on. HTML5, JavaScript. This is telling you all the projects that you can create in NetBeans. So You have option of creating PHP, C, and C++ projects also. We'll stick to Java, and under Java, I'm going to create a Java application, right? So we'll go next. Oh, no, there's no filter. Okay. Okay, now the name. Names of projects are important, right? Because they help you to remember what it is. So one, always when you give names, see that you give names that are something that you can remember afterwards.
May I suggest the name S1700-S2017-Tuesday-Week1?
You can do whatever. I'll give names according to how I can remember them. Okay, it's up to you. Whatever, that's perfectly fine. Up to you. Whatever makes it easy for you,
Just
right?
share an idea.
Yeah, so I'm going to call it dialog boxes because that way I'll remember that I did an example on dialog boxes, and I'll keep it in a folder where I can find it afterwards. So you can name it whatever you like. And as Bradley was saying, you can call it summer 2017, you can call it whatever you like. Now comes the project location. So now by default, if you have installed NetBeans, you will see by default all your projects go into a folder called NetBeans projects under your documents, right? I'll kind of change this place because I don't want to keep it here, or if you like, it's again dependent upon you, whatever you want to do. So this is just me, right? So since I have a folder for intro to Java, I'll kind of create a new folder here. And so that I can remember it, I'm going to call it summer 2017 now, as Bradley was saying. And then I'm going to create so that I know this is the Tuesday section that I was working in. Always organize your work, guys, always, so that you can find it. Right, so this is why this is where I'm going to put it. So again, it's up to you, entirely up to you. So by default, a folder called NetBeans project is created when you install NetBeans, and it goes into your documents. I've changed that place just because it's convenient for me. I can remember where I'm putting my stuff, right? And then it says, do you want to create a main class in your code? Since I'm writing, as I said, I'm going to write a procedural program today, the first program that I'm writing. If you don't do it, you'll have to write it yourself. It's not a big deal, but if you do it, then it will create the stuff for you. So whatever works for you. Then I'll do a finish. Okay, please notice a few things that happen in NetBeans, which of course you can change, right? Nothing stops you from changing them. Please notice that it has created source packages. Source package means where your source code will go, your Java files. And it has created a package called, now since I'm using NetBeans for the first time, let's see, it is full screen. There should be some way of, I'm trying to give, change some options to give a bigger size to my screen so that you guys can see. So usually it is under view, which I don't see. It says show only editor, which is not, it's only giving the editors. Or somewhere in preferences maybe. Now this is something that I didn't think of. Usually when I work in class, I try to give it a bigger size. No, I'll have to look at it afterwards. I'll have to see how to, and I'm sure it will be somewhere except that I have to look for it. And you may not have even done it because you may not even find this.
Some tools and options.
I did try that.
Are you trying to change up the font size?
Yeah, the font size.
The third option from the left, fonts and colors.
Oh, there it is. Okay, and let's try to give it 13 is what it is sitting at right now. What do you think? 20 should be, 18 should be good?
You can get that bigger.
Does it show when I change it here? No, not yet. Usually 20.
Probably like 28.
4, let's try 24. Okay, apply. Okay, not bad.
Last one.
Okay, and I'm sure I can do this. Yeah, I can do that. Okay, and I'm sure I can. Okay, 24 is what it is coming at. If you like it to be bigger, I can do that. What I was trying to bring your attention here by default, and again, you must have noticed because you've done this before, a package called dialog boxes has been created under your project. By default, it has been called dialog boxes, same, but all lowercase. That's a convention. All packages in Java are written in lowercase. Can you recollect a few? Java.lang, all in short, small case, right? This is the most common one you use. Java.io. All these packages are written in lowercase. Keeping that in mind, just close all these windows just to give you an idea. If you kind of just go Java documentation, just trying to open Java documentation and show you. And go to the connecting. Oh God, taking so long. There is 7, there is 8 here. Okay, takes, don't want to search forever. Let's go to the E7 here. So notice how you have all these packages and look at their names: java.applet, java.awt, abstract window toolkit, awt.color. Notice something, they're all in lowercase. So keeping that convention in mind, NetBeans has automatically called your package dialog boxes all in lowercase. You also notice that they have used dots in between, right? Like java.applet, Java. So the first word common is Java. And then you will see some in Javax also for the extended Java. But that's the convention they've used. Now, if you like, and many people do it, depending upon the organization, I could have called my package something like GC for Georgian College, .cs for Computer Studies. And then I know that it's kind of unique. The package names are unique. So why should packages name be unique? So that if I put my package in the Java class library, it's unique and there is no other package called by that name. Or suppose I create a class called, out of the blue, Anju.java. And suppose somebody else also calls it Anju.java. My student loved me and they say, I'll call it Anju.java also. But my Anju.java is in a different package and his or her Anju.java is in a different package. So there is no collision. So usually it is assumed that Java packages names will be unique because we try to set them according to maybe the place where we work. For example, so if I say gc.cs.comp1008 dialog almost 99% chances is that it will be unique, right? But again, it may not be, but that's how package names are given. So you'll say, oh, am I stuck with this package name called dialog boxes? No, you're not. You can always select it. You can always do a right click. You can always refactor it. I'm assuming that's how it will work here also. And you can always rename it. So if you don't like the name dialog boxes, you want to call it gc.cs or whatever, give a bigger name with dot style, you can do. Yes.
So you can automatically change, like edit the package, whatever, in the actual editor.
You have to change it here and then you will change the package statement. Yes, you can. You can. It is all your option. You're not stuck with this name. Okay. So notice how here it says package dialog boxes. So once you change the name, I'm assuming when you do refactor rename, it will change it every place. I haven't tried it. It works, right? So you could change it. Now again, it has done this. It has named this file. So the package was called dialog boxes. It has named this file dialogboxes.java. And again, if you remember the rule says the name of the class which has the main must match the name of the file. So the class is called dialog boxes. It has a main method in it and its corresponding code file is called dialogboxes.java. Again, you're not stuck with it. If you want to change it, you can change it. You can refactor, rename, and then it will change. It depends upon you. I mean, so it's not that you call your project dialog boxes, everything has to be called dialog boxes. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. I mean, that's not our aim that we are trying to do all this, but it can be done. Now this information, which is I found is in NetBeans, because it's kind of odd that they write to change this license now header. So I did go through as to what it means, but I'll kind of ignore it. Or if not ignoring it, I can do this. If nothing else, I'll put my name here. Are you aware with these comments? The comments that start with a slash and a star and end with a star and a slash are called block comments, right? The compiler completely ignores them. Comments are completely ignored in a program. You'll say, then why do we even write them? For whom? For yourself and for me, right? You'll say, I don't need them. I know what I'm doing, but I don't know what you are doing. Okay, so you should always have your name, your date, and the purpose of your program or code right at the head. This is one way of doing it. I'll introduce you to Java doc comments also, which I would prefer that you use them because these are something that are only for you and me. But when we write Java doc comments, and I'll show you an example of Java doc comments. Let's try to go to a java.lang package maybe, just because you're familiar with it. Or go to a class called string maybe, which you're familiar with. Where am I string? So if you, now it will search for all strings. Oh, there it is, right? So if I'm just going to open the string class because you've seen it before, right? All these that you see, these comments, Java dot, what is its hierarchy? These comments, the string class represent character strings are constant. All these comments that you are seeing in a class definition, since, see also, all these that you are seeing, the field summary, the constructor summary, all these comments that you're seeing in a class were created by writing Java doc comments in a code. So I don't know whether you've written any Java doc comments in your programming fundamentals, but now if you're learning more of Java and you're going to write professional Java programs and you want other people to use your classes, then you should have Java documentation in it, right? These are called Java doc comments, and they create something like this. I'll show you. Procedural program is not a very good place to show it because there's nothing to write. But as soon as we start from next week writing our own classes and methods, I'll show you how to write Java documentation, right? So there's nothing wrong in these comments, but these comments are solely for the person who wrote the program and the person who's reading your code. Only those people can see it. I mean, I'm reading your code, I have your code, not your compiled version, your Java code. So I would like you, as a good habit always, to have your name, to have the date, May 9th, not 5, sorry, 2017, and the purpose of the code, to keep it kind of, so I don't have to, but here, to keep kind of, which I'm sure we can format afterwards. There must be a format option, and the purpose. Right, so the purpose will be not assignment 1 given by Anju or something like that. You will write the purpose of the code. So my aim in this program today is to basically introduce you to the dialog box class from the JavaX swing, right? So I just want to give you a flavor of GUI, very little flavor, very little flavor. So I'm going to introduce or show the use of, whatever you want to say, but as long as it is right, as long as it is correct, grammatically correct, and makes sense, I'm okay with it. Okay, so your purpose is not test 1, assignment 1, something like that. Your purpose is what you're going to do. So my aim today is to introduce dialog boxes class from the Java API. That's what I'm trying to do today with you. So that's what I've written. Now notice something else. Notice this block of comments from lines 8 to 11. They start with a slash and a double star and end with a star and a slash. You'll say, well, how are they different? There is only an extra star, but this is how you write Java doc comments. They're called Java doc comments. And notice how a special, do you see this at author? It's not called authors. The A is not capital. It is exactly to be written as at author, right? This annotation is called at author. There are many more, like there is at since. If you notice when I showed you that since in your Java, that this was written using at since. Therefore, it says since JDK 1.2. It's telling you that this class string is available since JDK 1.2. So if I was to write the date, for example, so in my NetBeans, of course, A Chawla isn't a good author name at all. I'll say something like Anju Chawla. Usually I'll give it a short description. So we'll say this code introduces, and I'll show you where it creates all this. This code shows the use of so this is a short description. In the Java doc, to begin with, I give it a short description. It could have been same like this. I just said this code shows the use of dialog box classes. Author is Anju Chawla. You can add more. You have something like, you can add a version number. Suppose you are a programmer and you're working in groups and you're writing projects. So it's quite obvious that you won't write your first version and it will be 100% right. You will write versions, right? Versioning control is very, very important in programming. You write a version, there are some mistakes. You don't make changes in that. You keep the older version, you make a copy of that version and make changes in that version, version 2, version 3. This is how GitHub is very useful here. If you keep, as I work and I keep saving my code on GitHub, it will save it as not as one big file. So if I saved something at say 1 p.m., it will have a timestamp of 1. That's my first save. Then if I commit again, I save again at say 1:30, it will save something at 1:30. It only saves the changes. Then at 2:40, 2:50, so on. So what happens if I said, oh, what did I do at 1 o'clock? I can go to the 1 o'clock version and look at it. If I want to see what did I do at 2:40, 2:40 will show me everything I did from 1 o'clock till 2:40. So it saves the changes. That's called version control. And it is important. Sometimes we don't realize it. We write a code and we say, no, this is not working properly. You know what? Let me delete this and add this. But it may happen that you may have to go back to the code you deleted and then you haven't saved it anywhere. So version control is important, that you save your versions as you go on. And that's how GitHub is one way of doing it. There are many more ways of doing it. Since I've used GitHub, I know of GitHub, it helps you in version control, right? So you keep your versions, you keep saving after every hour or every day or every week, depending upon what kind of project you are doing. And that way, it saves your changes. And if you want to say, oh, you know what, I made all this week, nothing worked, I should go back to the previous version I had, you can pick up that version and you can start working on that. So you have your work saved in parts. You know what I mean? Not just saved, but in parts. That's why it's called version control. So there is a version, I could call it version 1.0, for example. Right? Or you can, in the version, you can give the date. This is the version, you can do something like this if you want, 1.0. Date, you can put today's date in it. But it has to, the annotation has to be called at version. Okay, it has to be exactly called at version. That's how it is called. So if you want to say 1.0, we can do this. There is an at since. The since that you saw in that Java documentation that I showed you, usually since is used at, like in Java, it is used, when was it available? It's available from JDK 1.0, 2.0, something will have 8.0, for example, depends on when it was introduced. If you like, you could say something like May 5th. So you're basically saying that this program is available since, this class is available since Java May 9, 2017. You know what I mean? So you could put the date here. So here are a few examples of what you could put in the head Java doc comments, at the head, not everywhere. Every Java doc comment has a different use. Okay. Now, just to show you, what kind of Java documentation was created for this, what I've written. So therefore, when we write Java documentation, we usually don't write these common comments, because see, my name has come here, author has come here, the version has come here, the date has come here, and the purpose has come here. You don't write both of them. One will do, okay? But to see what has happened, I'm now thinking here, go to run and say generate Java doc, right? Java doc comment, say generate, and you will see that it will in the here. Does it look a little familiar? Doesn't it look like the Java documentation we had seen in the Java library? So all these comments were done this way. And look at it. So look at it. My class is called dialog boxes. By default, it has said that dialog boxes from object. I hope all of you know that every class in Java inherits or is a child of this class called object. So there is a class called object, which is the father or the mother of all classes in Java. And this is called inheritance. Normal English word inheritance for now, that it has taken everything that object class has and is adding more to it. So it has given you this hierarchy also. It has said that, and what does your class belong to? Which package? Dialog boxes, small. What does the object class belong to? Java.lang. So it has created the hierarchy for you, right? Then notice it has said that your public class is called dialog boxes, and every class extends. Extend means inherits from object. Normal English word inherits, though there is an inheritance concept in Java. That's what it is. And this is my description. Remember my description that I wrote? This code shows the use of dialog boxes classes. And then it has said a since. Why it has not given me the author and the version? That's strange. It should say author here and version 2, unless. No, it doesn't. Okay, I'll have to look into this. It should. And anything that you do there should come up here. It should have said Anju Chawla, author Anju Chawla, and that. And I'm sure Eclipse does it. So I'll have to kind of look at Look into this. Notice the constructor, you'll say, but you haven't written anything. By default, every class has a constructor. So the name of the class, opening, closing bracket, empty constructor is automatically there. Every class in Java has the default empty constructor. Unless you write another constructor for it, every class has it, right? So this is the default. I haven't written any constructor, but there is a default constructor. The use of constructor, that special method that allows you to create an object of the class. Remember what I said when I introduced object-oriented programming? Class is just a description, a blueprint. When you create an object of it, when you want to use it, you create an object of it, right? And that object is created by the help of this special method or methods. You could have more than one constructor or constructors in a class. On this one? So to see what I'm seeing on the right hand side, you have to click on your dialog boxes classes. That's the documentation you want to see about. Okay, and then okay, what are the methods in your class? It only has one method, static void main, and it's showing you that that's your method. Now it says, what are the methods that you got from java.lang.object? Every class I told you in Java, whether you write it or whether it is in the Java class library, it doesn't matter. Every class in Java inherits, gets. These methods automatically belong to your class also, right? Gets the method clone, equals, finalize, get class, hash code, so on. All these automatically are, you can use them. It's like you saying, oh, this is my dad's car, I can drive it. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. So when you say, this is a very simple example, but when you say that a class inherits from another class, that means that you can use all the methods that the class has defined, reuse code. Right? Object-oriented programming says, don't start from scratch, don't reinvent the wheel. So I can use all these methods in my code. You'll say, but what are they? You'll come to them. You'll use a simple 1-2 string very quickly, maybe today. So here are the constructor details. There is nothing to give in the constructor. It's an empty constructor. Here are the method details. There is only one method in my class. It is called main. Here are its signatures. Public, it's a public method. Static, I'll tell you what static is, or maybe ask you what static is. Returns nothing. Void means returns nothing. Main is the name of the method, and in the arguments you see it is passed an argument called args. It could have been called anything. You can call it anything. But what is the type of the argument that you are passing main? You can pass it an array of strings. Any number of strings can be passed to this main method when you run this program. How you pass it? You pass it when you compile it. Sorry, when you run it. After you compile it, when you run it, you say, I want to run my dialog box code with these inputs. For example, Anju, Chawla, S, Summer, 2017. You can give any number of arguments to it as long as they are all strings. All of them are assumed to be strings. Even if I give something like 2017, it is assumed to be strings. What is the use of arguments? Why does a method need arguments? Okay, let's take a simple example. If I say, Yana, if I say add 2 numbers for me, what will be your question to me? I say add 2 numbers for me. What will be your obvious question to me back? What are the numbers, right? What are the numbers, she says. So a method does a job, and a method may or may not need some input to do its job, right? So suppose a method is adding numbers. What will it require from you? The numbers to be added. Those are called its arguments. And here it is saying that the main method can take any number of arguments, even 0, none or any number. It's an array. Since it is an array, it could be of size 0. There is nothing. Or you can give it any number of arguments, and you can work with them in the code of main. And it's called, we are calling these arguments args. You could call them anything. But the signatures of main are important. You cannot change the signature of main. And notice how it says it has one parameter called args, the command line arguments. So for whatever reason, just for the heck of it, if you change this name to A, I just changed it. It's just a name, right? And I run my Java doc comments again. I create them again. And param not found. Oh, there. just because it's creating comments. Notice how it has changed the parameters to A instead of ARGS. It's just a parameter. It's just a parameter, right? The values that you actually pass to them are called arguments. It's just a parameter. So this is what Java arguments do. That's what they do. Okay, this is how Java comments are created. Right, now let's look at this special method. Now, does every class in Java need to have a main?
No.
No, because only Java applications need to have a main. If you're writing a class definition, it doesn't need to have a main, because what is it doing? It's just defining a class. It's just a blueprint. Yeah, but if you want to use this class, use it in another program, and you want to, it's an application that is running, then you have to write a main there, and that in that main you will say, give me an object of your type and I will do it. Right? But if it is an application that you're writing, and I'm writing a Java application, I'm not writing a class definition here just because we don't have a lot of time and I'm just kind of introducing you to dialog boxes. I'm having this special method called main. It has to be public and be used by anybody in the world. Okay, that means outside its scope. It returns nothing. The return type is void. Right? It returns nothing. The return type is void. Takes any number of parameters as its input, 0 to any number, and is static in nature. What's a static method? What is the special signature static in it? Okay, let me try to give a simple example. Since you have, it's okay if you don't know, or maybe you can't explain. Let's see. Okay, if I don't have a blueprint, if I don't have a class definition, can I create an object out of it? No, obviously not, right? If I can't create an object, then I can't call the methods of this class. How will I? I mean, the object, there is no object. How will I work with it? Okay, now let's assume we have a class. There is a blueprint, and I can create an object out of it. I have some methods in this class that I want to run, but they don't require to be run by any object. For example, let's see. Give you an example of how many students does Georgian College have. So let's take Georgian College as the class definition, and let's take a variable called number of students, right? Now this variable number of students should be known to everybody, for example. All other classes, all other departments, there are other classes and students. It's a common information that how many students are students in Georgian College, how many students are enrolled at Georgian College. Now, since this variable is kind of a constant, not constant in the term, it will never change, but it is a variable that maybe everybody wants to share, and you don't have to create an object of the class to look at it. You will call this variable as static, right? So a static method is a method that can be run by the help of the class name. So you can call this method main by going dialog boxes dot main. You don't have to create an object of the class. You can just call it with the class name. It belongs to the class. It's a method that belongs to the class and can be shared by all the objects. It's kind of common to everybody. It's kept at one place. So I don't have to create an object of this class. You'll say, but what's the big deal in it? When I go compile and when I go run, the runtime unit runs and it runs this class, dialog boxes. It just runs the class. It doesn't create an object of it. So if it wants to run this main method that is inside dialog boxes, how can it run it? Dialog boxes dot main, and that means it is running a class method. So a class method will have the reserved word static or the modifier static in its definition, in its class signatures or definition, which means that this method belongs to the class and can be run with the help of the class name. You don't have to go object name dot method name. You can go class name dot method. So when you say run my code, it says I can only run if I create an object of it. But did the hen come first or did the egg come first? We don't know, right? Like you don't have an answer of that. And that's the same thing. The GRE says you're telling me to run dialog boxes. You're telling me run it, but the class definition is still not executed. How will I create an object of it, and how will I call the method inside? So therefore, it is necessary that a Java application that you want to run should have a static main method inside it so that the GRE can call that method main by simply going dialog boxes dot main. It doesn't have to run the class first and then create an, where is the object created? I mean, as I said, it's the same thing as hen came first or the egg came first, egg comes first. You don't know. So JRE has to run something, and that run something is inside your main method, the method of the class, but the class is not yet run, so how will it run it? So there is utter confusion, right? I can only run the class because I can only run the main after I have run the class, but the main is inside the class. So what do I do? So therefore, a static says that this method belongs to the class. An object of the class need not be created to run it. And so the JRE says, oh, thank God. All I have to do is run the main method from the class. So you can't change the signatures of main. You have to call it static. You have to call it main. You have to exactly give it the signatures that is that. You cannot change. Because the JRE has been told to run a method with exactly this signature onto, run it and show it whatever you are telling it to do. All code that goes inside here is what it will do. And of course, the first line of code that every programmer learns is to say something like, hello world was what it used to be. Right? Oh. And see how it color codes. And it's kind of helpful that it color codes. All strings are orange. Right? Do you notice the color coding in NetBeans? All IDEs will do. System is the name of the class, and out is the name of a variable inside. It's a little different. System.out println is a little iffy. The object is system.out. That's the object, because out is a constant inside the system class. Println is the name of the method. So there is a method called println. So it's usually object name dot method, and if it is a static method, it's class name dot method. So println is a method that belongs to the system class. The system belongs to java.lag, and the system.out, the in, out, and n are three fields inside it by the help of which you kind of, so you can say system.out is the object with which you are working. Okay, what does it do? If you run this code, and notice how easy it is to run in NetBeans. If you kind of come under run, you can always do a run if you like. You can always go and there should be a, no, I'll have to see just because it's new for me. There should be, oh, there is a compile file also here. You can do this. So you can go compile and then run if you like. But with the shorthand button, it will compile for you and run for you. But the process is two, just so that you know. The program is first compiled. Compiled means change your source code in Java to bytecode actually, which ultimately is converted into machine code. Java is platform independent. You can take this Java program and run it on any other platform, because that platform's compiler will compile it into the bytecode. Everything is compiled into bytecode, which is machine independent. But then it takes the bytecode and converts into the machine language of that particular machine. Therefore, we say that Java is platform independent because code is converted into bytecode. So you can go like this if you want. You can first compile it if you like, and then you can run it if you like. Or what we usually do is we go run, and you will notice that here, notice how the Java system print line has put here the hello Java program. That's simple, right? So this is something you must have definitely done in programming fundamentals. How do you write a class definition? And in the class definition, if you're writing an application and you want to run a class, if you're compiling it, it's fine. Compilation is no problem. But if you have to run something, if you have to run a Java program, it has to have a main method inside it, which you cannot change, right? So we know how to do it. It's not. It's as simple as a, like, it's really simple. You've done it so many times. Now tell me something. What if I want to read something from the user? So suppose I'm saying to the user, I'm asking for, what's your name, for example? And I say, what's your name? I ask a question of the user. Not bad. And the user says something like type, but that the printing just prints it. How do I take the input from the user and put it in a variable? Must have learned this too, right? Let's try one by one. What do we need?
Using the scanner library.
Using the scanner class from the library, right? So there is a class called scanner in the Java library. Heard of it? right? If you haven't, the best way to learn Java, and there is nothing wrong in it. Oh, since I'm an S, it's not a big deal. I'll kind of, you can always search if you like, but since I'm an S, and that's quite long too, shouldn't have said it. Okay, Control F, here you go. Look for the scanner class, okay? There it is, the scanner class. Click on it. Now you will say, what if I don't know that there is a scanner class? Now this much you will have to kind of learn with that strange scanner. Oh, it just is slow. Okay. Notice the scanner class. To which package does it belong? Java.util. Notice Java.util. This is the name of the package, Java.util. Util standing for utilities, common utilities. The class is called scanner. It has inherited from java.lang.object. Every class inherits from it. It is a final class. Its definition cannot be changed. It extends object and implements some interfaces. Now interfaces and inheritance and so on will come a little later in the chapter. So we'll talk about it. For now, there's nothing easy I can tell you about it, which you can kind of understand. Though inherits is easy to understand, implements is a little different, right? So we'll leave that. And here is the scanner class, and it kind of says, okay, how do I build a scanner now? So to read something from the user, you will have to create an object of the scanner class. But a class is just a blueprint. If I have to use it, what do I have to do? Create an object of it. So let's create it. So go back into your main. So I'll keep it inside the main. Okay, so let's of the scanner class. See, as soon as I do this, I'm hoping. Okay, notice, bring your mouse to it. Notice it has a red line. It says, I cannot find that symbol. What's that? And you can always say Alt-Enter to show help, though you should know it, but it says you have to import the utility package if you want to use this class. Say, yeah, okay, get it. So if you know, you can write this import statement yourself. So leaving java.lang, that package is automatically imported or is for use, automatically for use in your code. You don't have to import it. You could, but you don't have to. For all other classes that you use that do not belong to the java.lang package, you have to import that package. It's like saying, if I want to use it, I have to tell you from where to get it. The poor guy, the poor compiler cannot go through millions of classes to see where are you, where are you, where are you. So you are helping the compiler to say, where do I find the scanner class? So it is saying, import the scanner class from java.util package. The other option was, though I wouldn't recommend it, the other option was here you could have written the whole word java.util.scanner. And that will work too. It's just more coding. You don't have to import it, but you could have written it like this. You could have qualified it right here. And it will work too. You've qualified it. You're saying, where is the scanner class coming from? And this will work. There's nothing wrong in it, but it is not a common practice in Java. Okay, so what do you want to create? You want to create an object of this class. Let's call it input. I'm calling an object input. This is how you declare a variable. For example, how do you create a string variable, guys? You go string, the name of the class, I'm calling it name. Why do I need a string variable? We call it a variable, but remember, string is a class, so name is an object. Okay. Why do I need this name object? Because I want to keep the name of the person. I have to keep everything somewhere if I have to show it on the screen. But you say, we don't keep it in block number 1, block number 2, memory location 1. But the computer is a machine. It's not a human being, right? That's why we say it's dumb. So we have to say, whatever I give you, go and keep it here. And that keep it where is the name of the memory location. So I don't have to now import java.lang. For your information, the string class belongs to the java.lang package, right? Okay, now, so I'm fine. I say name. It has a green squiggly inside it. It says variable name is not used. That's fine. It's a warning. Green squiggly means warning, but the red squiggly means something is not right. Semicolon expected. I'm not yet finished. But anyway, now to create an object, I told you when you create an object of a class, you have to call its constructor. Give me an object. And the way to call a constructor of any class in Java is saying, give me a new object of this class. Just keep it like this, and then we'll complete it. There is an error here, but we'll talk about what this error is. So what am I saying? I'm saying scanner class. You are a class. Can you give me an object of yourself so that I can work with it? So here's your blueprint. Give me an object. The object is, or the instance is called input. So to create an object, you always have to create an object. So why did I go name is equal to new string? Why did I do that? And it didn't say anything. String is also a class. Any idea why doesn't it say anything in string? You could do it. You don't do it out of laziness. Because string is such a common class that we use. Text is used in almost every program that you write, right? It has been bypassed by Java compiler that if you don't say is equal to new string, I will assume it, but only for string class. So why is string special? Just because it's used so commonly, therefore you don't have to say new string. And there is something else behind it. Maybe I'll talk of it sometime later when you know a little bit more of Java. Right? But I don't have to say new string. But as a rule, every object you create, before you use it, you have to say, give me a new object. Otherwise, you will get a null pointer exception. That object does not exist when you try to do it. So you should have said new string. You don't say it because Java does it for you. Because Java creates an empty constructor for you, it does. Now, why am I getting a problem here? It says I can't find a constructor called scanner opening bracket closing bracket. I can't find an empty constructor in the scanner class. So how will I use it? Right? How do I know about it?
You specify.
Yeah. Okay. So how do I know about it? So you go back to your scanner, look at your constructors. Do you see a scanner constructor with no input, no parameters? Do you see any? No. So how can I use it? So there is no, if there was one, if somebody had defined a scanner constructor with an empty parameter list, I would have used it. But there is none, so I can't. I either have to give a file name or a string or an input stream or an input stream and a string. There are so many. We'll say, oh, which one do I use? That's what comes with practice. That's what Java programmers are, right? They've gone through all this. Since I've done it before and I know of it, so there is no magic anywhere, guys. The magic lies in your hands. You are the magic programmer. Everything has a logical reasoning behind it. So why am I getting an error here? Because there is no constructor of this nature that exists. There is no constructor. So but I said Java automatically gives you an empty constructor. Yes, it does. But as soon as you put your own constructors, the empty one is gone forever. Java says, I'll help you. If you don't have a constructor, you can still create an object. I'll give you the empty constructor. I'll give you an object, but that object has nothing defined in it. The color of the car is not defined. The make is not defined. So the object is there, but it's kind of empty object. It has no values inside. There is no state of the object. So there is no constructor by the name of empty, nothing taking. So what I'm going to do is, I saw one with an input stream. And since, what does system.x, my m's and n's are getting. What have I said? I've said, I'm going to create an object called input that is going to be associated with system.in. What is system.in? The input stream from which you take data. In very simple words, your keyboard. So you have associated an object called input by the help of which you can read input from your keyboard. So see, the class was created for you, scanner was created for you. You used an object of that class, you created an object, you used its now to read, we'll have to use a method of it, but I created an object. So now I'm ready to read from the keyboard. Why? Because I've set system.in here. Okay, so now somebody help me. So when I say, okay, what is your name? I take what the user gives me and put it in this memory location. Therefore, I created that string variable name because whatever you give me, I have to put it somewhere. How do I read now? What is the name of the object that you created? Input. So that's your person to talk to. So input is going to talk to the keyboard. Which method is it going to use? Do I turn right in the car? Do I turn left in the car? Kind of, right? Okay, so input, as soon as you do this, you get help again. It says, oh, what do you want to do? Do you want to read a string? Do you want to, there are more, has next, there are more, but this were the easiest that I can see. Okay, so I say input, what was it? Oh, now I forget. I haven't used scanner for a while. Okay, here there are a few. It says next line. What is next line? Next line says, advances the scanner past the current line and returns the input that was skipped. No, that's not what I want. What about next? it says finds and returns the next complete token from its scanner. Complete token means till you press the enter key, right? So you can even read numbers and all that, but that should be next. Here it is. No, next double, next float. See, there are so many here. Since string is so easy, and I think I'm okay. Is it next line or next, guys? I think both will work. What do you say? Next line will work or next will work? Next line? Okay. So it reads till the line? I haven't used scanner for ages, to be very truthful. I haven't, because it's the most tedious thing to use. Here, okay, so it reads. So look at this statement now at line number 31. Is it making sense? Assignment always goes from right to left, guys. Right to left. So the right hand happens first. So I am saying input, who is an object of the scanner class. So notice how I'm using the class object-oriented programming concept. The class is called scanner. Somebody's already written it. It's in the library. It's a blueprint. It's just a definition. I say, can you give me an object? I need a helper. So you get a helper. You call that helper input. And now input is an object and you want to use methods on it. So it's like saying car, turn right, car, turn left, car, reverse. So car is your object, right? So now what is the name of my object? Input. And what do I want to do with it? Read from the keyboard. What do I want to read? Name is text, it's not number, right? So what do? You say next line. So you look for the right method. When you want to turn right, you don't turn your steering wheel to the left. You have to use the right method. So next or next line, I think both will work. I can't remember the difference, but anyway, that will work. And what do you do with it? You put it in name. To kind of say that, yeah, how will you prove that it was read? We'll take again a control C. And we'll kind of give it a, I mean, I'm writing it in the simplest form. Is it plus in Java? Yeah, it is plus. There, it will print out name or your name, or you know what we can do better than that? We can say welcome and we'll show the name. Though there are many ways of doing it. I could have done a %F and so on. I mean, I can make it fancy, but my aim is not teaching you scanner or system or intelligence. Therefore, I'm not putting a lot of effort. I'm just saying welcome and then the person's name. Right? Let's counters an input statement that you are reading, like system.out.println and prints to the screen. By the help of a scanner object, you're waiting for input from the user. So as soon as you say input.get next line, it's kind of waiting for you. It needs something. And it will read till you press the enter key. Therefore, the method is called next line, right? Okay, so if I say Anju, and you can put blanks in it. I think, yeah, that's the difference between next and next line, and you cannot put blanks in next. And you press the enter key. Enter key means I'm done. That's why the method is called next line. Okay. So next line says read everything from the keyboard till the user presses the enter key. That's what next line is. So it read my name, and then what did I tell it to do? I said, okay, spit it out on the terminal now, and it said welcome to Java. Simple, right? We've done this before. Now what I want to do is, are we nearing our time? Oh, we've already passed it. Okay, so we won't be able to complete it. So what I want to do is, I would like to replace the scanner use, the input use, instead of asking it on the not so pretty terminal, I would like to ask it by the help of maybe a GUI control, which is called a dialog. Right? And similarly, instead of saying printing on the screen, I'll try to put it in a pretty box called hello. That's all. That's my aim. So to introduce you to dialog boxes was the aim, which of course didn't get completed. So we'll complete it next week. Okay, we'll complete it next week, and that means that your assignment will not come on Thursday on Blackboard. It will come next week in class. Okay. Any questions you have that I can answer for you?